Tim, no, you're not in.
Candidates
Nancy.
sit in the rows with the bows.
She
That way
had
you're
Tim
closest
Sloan.
to the front. So all candidates, please come to a low row. You're already there.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. I'm excited that we're here. I'm excited to be here, even though we're huddling to stay warm this evening. Thank you for coming. You are allowed to bring food and drink up here if you would like. Just try to be careful not to spill. But thank you for coming out this evening to the Democrat women hosting the meet and greet for our candidates tonight. I'm excited that we're all here. We've got some great candidates here. I'm excited you're here to hear what they have to say. So I want to just kind of welcome you all out this evening and do some introductions of some of our party officials. And I'm still rather new at this post, so I'm going to do my best to remember everybody and remember their positions. First, I'm the Democrat Women's President. I just started recently, maybe about 2 months ago, so I'm brand new. And I have to say, I've got a good presidency that I'm working with. I got some great ladies with me. We're going to be a good team together. I'm really excited. And just to let you ladies know, we are working on our calendar for 2018-19, and we've got some exciting things planned. So I'm really excited. We're going to do a cross of fun social events as well as some informative educational meetings as well and covering important topics. So I'm really excited about that. And we'll get that calendar out to you as soon as we get it finalized. So I'm excited for a good 2 years. So let me introduce my presidency members. I've got Susie Thomas in the back, Pam Britt, Spence, and Robin Sines is also on our presidency, but she was unable to attend tonight, so she's also one of us. So we're a great team together. I'm excited to work with these great ladies. And also we've got our party officials here for the Democrat Party. And we have John, where's John? There he is, John, Jay, Jan, Margaret. Did I miss anybody?
Carol Abbey, our treasurer.
Okay. All right, so thank you for coming out. And we're going to start with an invocation by Mr. Tom Spence. And please say a blessing on you, Tom.
You all are the nicest people, and it's wonderful to spend the evening with you. Let us pray. Almighty God, bless those who hold office in the government of our communities, our state, and our nation. Help them to remember that they are called to serve the people as lovers of truth and justice. We are gathered here this evening to present candidates who offer themselves for public service. Give them pure motives and a sincere desire to promote the general welfare of all the people. Give them a true sense of patriotism, upholding those values that have made us a great nation. Help them to respond to the true needs of the people with sympathetic action. Give them wisdom to discern the workings of oppression and to offer effective solutions for discrimination and human misery. Let us encourage these candidates in their campaign, not only voting for their election, but commending them to our friends and neighbors. This we ask in your holy name, O Lord. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Let's go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I've got my list of candidates here. Before we get started, I just want to point out the elected officials who are not candidates this year. And we have a few of them. Patrick Kelly. There he is. Susie Thomas, you're also a candidate. Tamara, Larry Oldham, Ophelia Livingston, Tim Sloan. All right, Miss Anita Earls asked to go first because she has an engagement to go to, so we're going to let her get things started. But just to let you know, we have 3 minutes. We have a timekeeper. Mrs. Sloan's going to keep our time for us. So that's right. So when you see her, go like this. When the time's up. When you see her doing this, your time's up, and please stop when your time's up so I don't have to wrestle you down and have you sit down.
My name is Anita Earls, and I'm running statewide for the North Carolina Supreme Court. I want to introduce to you the most important person, my campaign manager, Caroline Spencer. What I want you to know is that I'm so thrilled to be here this evening because you are the ones who can make a difference for our country and for our democracy. For 30 years, I've been a civil rights attorney, most of that in North Carolina. I have a statewide practice. I've had cases in Lee County, as a matter of fact. And let me just say, I became an attorney because I grew up in a mixed-race family. I saw the barriers that my family faced, and I really believed in the guarantee of equal justice under law, and that I could use the law as a tool to break down those barriers. And I was privileged to work with Julius Chambers through much of my career. But what I've seen most recently, doing the voting rights cases, the partisan gerrymandering and racial gerrymandering, and the cases about the ability to have same-day registration, or whether we let people without an ID vote, all of those cases brought home to me, and seeing what the legislature has done in response to those cases, that we're really at a crisis point. We have a legislature that wants to take over the courts. They really believe that because they write the laws, they should interpret the laws, they should appoint the people who are on our courts. They talked about taking away your right to vote for judges. And in the face of all that, I felt like I had to stand up for the importance of a fair and impartial judiciary. And those words really mean something. We have a state constitution that protects your rights. You're entitled to have the same laws apply to you that apply to everyone else that comes before the court. And you're entitled to have that Constitution held true no matter what the legislature might do. If they pass an unconstitutional law, you need a court that will stand up to them and tell them that. And I think that it's important in the era that we're in right now to remember that we have 3 branches of government. And so while we're focusing on breaking the majority, we also have to focus on saving our courts. The court packing plan that's been proposed would increase the size of the Supreme Court from 7 to 9 justices, with the legislature appointing the 2 other seats. So this seat that I'm running for, the only one that's on the ballot this year at the present, is a way to, is sort of a bulwark against that court packing plan, because at least in the short term it would no longer be effective. So I'm running in order to be a justice who rules without fear or favor. And while the legislature has made this partisan and eliminated the primary, which creates all sorts of issues and problems, I do believe that in November, with the work of people like you around the state who believe in the values of democracy, who believe that everyone should have a right to vote, every vote should count equally, that if you work hard, together we can make a difference in November. So I will ask you to vote for Anita Earls for the North Carolina Supreme Court.
Anita Earls for speaking with us tonight. All right, we're going to get cracking because we have a lot of candidates to get through. I'm hoping that if we get finished early enough, we can have some Q&A time, question and answering time at the end. So let's go ahead and start with our Lee County Board of Commissioner candidates, and we will start with Mr. Tim Sloan.
So can y'all hear me okay if I stand up here? Mr. Spence made that very clear. He has been my minister, so I take good heed from my minister. But I'm Tim Sloan. I'm a current District 2 Lee County Board of Commissioner. I'm seeking office again to continue the things and the practices that we've put in place in the collaboration with the city and with the town of Broadway. here in Lee County. My family's been here for generations. I said this in the first campaign. I had the luxury of campaigning in 2014, or for the 2014 election, and saying that there were no new jobs created in 2013 and 2012. And I have the privilege of standing here with the collaboration that's been occurring with the Board of Commissioners, with the City Council of Sanford, and with the town of Broadway, and the people and the support of the people here, of saying that we've created a lot of jobs in the last 4 years. We take a lot of criticism. You'll read the paper tonight, that letter to the editor. There are some people that, if they would move from here, I wouldn't care. I mean, that's sad to say when you're trying to grow a community. There are people that continually try to tear us down. And they want to see our county fail, in my opinion. And so I've decided to run for another term. And I ask for your support in a lot of different ways. I really appreciate that this group, especially the support that I got in 2014, the people that worked the polls, the people that worked the phones, and the people that got out and voted. There was a great turnout then. We need that turnout again now to continue the work in this county. And I just ask for your support. I think that our records for the last 4 years stands very strong compared to the 8 years before. And so I'm asking for your help. And I look forward to another 4 years and to continue what we've started, and I want to see it through. And I made that comment earlier, and somebody said, well, so you plan on doing this for 4 years after that? Well, if we're doing what we're doing now, I will. So, please get out and vote. Please vote for Tim Sloan, District 2.
All right, we have Mark Lovick.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to get in, I guess, the political world. I'm Mark Lovick. I've lived here all my life. I've worked, got out of high school here at Lee County Senior High School in 1982, and I was blessed enough in 1983 to actually become a firefighter, paid firefighter here with the city of Sanford. So saved up my vacation time a little bit. In 1988, I became a sworn law enforcement officer through the Lee County Sheriff's Office, so I'm still a sworn officer, and this will be my 30th year of serving you guys part-time, which is a great honor, and I enjoy doing that. One of the questions, why do I want to serve? God told us to love one another and serve one another, and I take that to heart. So I came to be a servant. There's several things that I've come to serve in and be volunteers in and work my way up. So now the next step is, after volunteering and little guys and little doing things at your churches and things like that, the next thing is to become involved in your county so you can have a voice in it. I've been attending some of the Board of Commissioners meeting, and watching these guys work is just such an honor and a privilege, so I'm trying to start learning those ropes. So you don't know a lot about me as far as political-wise. So I came and I've been talking with the other ones, and I said, look, I've got things that, nobody's coached me on this. I said, I've got things that I want to be involved in. I said, I got things that's on my heart that I want to help the Lee County of Lee be better. And it's safety. Every job I've had as a firefighter, as a lineman, I became a lineman in 2000, and as a law enforcement officer, has been safety. Now more than ever, safety is so important to us. Look at the school shootings, our church shootings, things like that have become so passive, and that's part of my passion. Safety, you don't get but one chance, people, in safety. As a law enforcement officer, you don't get but one chance. As a firefighter, as a lineman, you don't get but one chance. I want to bring that safety part of it now more than ever. I want to join with these guys over here that's already on commission, to join with them and help me come in and bring my knowledge of what I've experienced in law enforcement and these things, and help bring that and be an advocate for our first responders, our firefighters, our law enforcement. I want to be an advocate for them on the Board of Commissioners. And that's what I bring to the table for, is that. you know, our schools, we can't have, I've got 4 sons. So how important is it to me to help with the county commissioners be involved and unite and be together with the school board? I want to join with them and help our school boards become better, and anything I can do to help that, and these gentlemen also, I think I want to be a process of that to help this county where I live and where I always want to live. I want to partner with them and help the school board and continue to improve in anything I can do necessary on that. And the last point that I would make on the thing is economic development. And with that, my time is up, but I want to be an advocate. I want to be an advocate for us, our businesses to grow good. I don't want bad businesses. I want good businesses and good jobs and good pay for our people. I'm Mark Lovick, District 3. If you don't live there, tell people about it. Thank you.
All right, Larry Dog Odom.
I wrote a few things down. First of all, let me say this. I'm Larry Doc Odom. I was born and raised in Lee County. I've lived here all my life except for the time I spent in service. And by the way, I got honorable discharge from service. And I live in the West Pocket community. And I'm running for re-election for the 4th District Commissioner seat. And I've had the privilege of serving the good people of Lee County for the last 3 years. And of course, most of you know I served a term before that. I don't want to talk about that a lot, but I was with the other group at that time. But I've tried to serve the people of Lee County in a serious way. I try to connect with the people that I serve, the taxpayers, you. I try to stay in touch with you. Every week I get several calls, and I've had calls from one of the other commissioners' district, and I'm going to call his name Commissioner Connect, and I'd say, look, you're in Commissioner Connect's district. Yeah, but Doc, we know you. So I go see them anyway, you know. I called him one time and told him I had a call from this district, and I don't think he even went to see the people. But anyway, I am a strong supporter of good law enforcement, good schools, and like Commissioner Sloan said, good jobs. He and I both serve on the Economic Development Board, and I'll tell you, if you look around you and see what's happened in Lee County in the last 3 years, we definitely don't want to go back the other way. You know, the current Democrats, the Board of Commissioners, the City Board, and the School Board have worked so well together the last 3 years, and you can see what you accomplish when you work together. It's not this dickering and fighting among ourselves. We get out there and get the thing done, and I think that's what it takes to move a county forward. Doomsayers will criticize and tell you that we haven't done anything right. But I'll just tell you, look around and see what's happening and tell me what you would undo that's been done. We have a great working relationship with the other boards, and I want to continue what we've started. I think we're headed the right way. The county has come a long way. If you remember, Commissioner, our chairman said here a year or two ago we had tumbleweeds blowing down the boulevard, and that's about the state we were in as far as economic development. We didn't have any jobs. Didn't have anyone looking at Lee County. South Carolina and other places were licking our plate clean, but it's changed the last 3 years. I'll say this, I'm retired. I'm almost always available to you. All you have to do is pick up the phone, call me, or email me, and I will answer a telephone call or email. Now, like I said, I'm running for the 4th District, and I would appreciate your support and your vote. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to Lee County Board of Education. We have Miss Olivia Livingston. Ophelia, I'm sorry. Ophelia Livingston.
Good evening to all of you. I want to thank the Democratic women for this opportunity to speak and to all of you for being here. My name is Ophelia Livingston, and I am campaigning for re-election for the Board of Education. I am proud of the accomplishments that I have made while being on the board. And right now I celebrate with all of you for the county commissioners' vote last night on the building and construction of elementary school. It's going to be a STEAM school, which stands for science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. And with that, we're looking forward to having the shovel and actually breaking ground and doing the renovations there. The school will open fall of 2019. The current vision, collaboration, and commitment between on the education between the county commissioners and the Lee County Board of Education has been a tremendous impact on the teachers, staff, and especially the students of Lee County. Lee County School District has a motto, and it goes like this: more than a diploma. The graduation rate for 2017 was 90.1%, and I think that deserves a round of applause. The graduating class of 2017, which totaled 734 graduates, had a combined to 48 associate degrees, 1,449 career and technical credentials, and 2,419 college credits. More than a diploma helps students move on to their success in their next phase of life and give a boost to the community by the way of economic development that our commissioners have been talking about. During my tenure, the graduating class of 2016 had over $4.1 million in scholarships. Now, in 2017, we had over $6.3 million in scholarships. One student was the recipient of Duke University's David M. Rubenstein Scholarship, which was worth over $295,000. Now, that's what our school district is doing today. Thank you. The more than a diploma motto also means that each student has different potential of achievement. We, the board, the school, the staff, and the teachers help find that potential, preparing the student to achieve and succeed in the ever-changing world that we live in right now. As a Lee County Board of Education member, I will continually be an advocate for strong leadership and transparency, an innovative thinker that creates opportunity for our students. And my last point is a voice of reason in strengthening the growth of the school. Again, my name is Ophelia Livingston, and I'm up for re-election for the Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ophelia Livingston, not Olivia Livingston. So thank you very much. And then we have Mr. Pat McCracken.
My 3 minutes is going to go very fast, so I'm going to skip a lot of the background. I'd just like to let you guys know that I am a lifetime resident of Lee County. I currently teach middle school in Moore County. I coach as well and a former administrator. I think to illustrate some of my points, I'm going a little bit of a different route. And I'd like to show you guys this picture here. And that's actually my brother and I back when we were in high school. And I think it just symbolizes, illustrates kind of what my platform is. I'd like to share 3 things with you. One, if you notice, my brother and I are leaving the school campus of Lee County High School. It was a Friday night for football. I was a junior and my brother was a senior. And little did we know that we were being led out to conquer the real world. We had folks, teachers, such as Mr. Alexander and other teachers that were making us know what we want to do in the real world. And that's one of my goals as running for the Board of Education, is I feel like, and I take a lot of this from what Ophelia said, is that we must meet the needs of them academically, athletically, socially, mentally, and emotionally. And if we do that, we're going to make a well-rounded student that is ready to meet the many challenges that they face today. So that would be my first point. My second point that I think my picture illustrates also is that I think one of the most important things of being a Board of Education member is that we are an advocate for all students. Not just one or a few students, not just a certain number of students, but all of them. And I think the numbers that we have on our jerseys represent that. Obviously, we were number 10 and we were number 83, but we were much more than that. Now, student number 1 is student number 76, or it's student number 9,763. So I would like to say that as a school board member, I would really be an advocate for all the students. I would also make sure that you know that I would offer and promote programs such as STEAM, such as STEM, such as more than just a diploma, that will really make sure these students are well aligned to face matters of the real world. My third point is that really doesn't have to do with the picture. I've got some other points about the picture that I would love to share with you at another time. But my third point is that my wife Emma and I are a business owner of Birch Furniture, and we are right downtown, and we value the economic development that has happened in Lee County. And I will continue to make sure that if we have good schools, there's going to be good growth in Lee County. And I will make sure that if I'm elected, that I will continue to work as a community business owner to make sure that the schools are well run, they're popular, and then when people talk about Lee County, they talk about the economics, they talk about the growth, and they talk about the schools as well. So I ask for your vote, Pat McCracken, for Board of Education. There's 3 seats open. Let's make it a clean sweep with myself, Ophelia, and Mark.
Here, here.
Thank you.
Speaking of Mark Ekenosha was unable to attend tonight, so he called me and let me know he wouldn't be able to be here. So I wanted to say a few words about Mark. You know, I got to serve with him on the Board of Education for the whole time I was on the board from 2012 to 2016. And he is very dedicated to the schools, very dedicated to education and our students. And so I ask you to support him again this fall. I know that he will continue to be a great school board member going forward, and he's excited to serve another term, so he just wanted me to tell you to please vote for him in the fall and spread the words. But I also want to take a moment, and I guess she's going to give me the 3 minutes. No. I just want to take a moment to say some important things that have been brought up that I just feel, and well, take this moment since Mark's not here to fill in a little bit about this, but it was mentioned by the commissioner candidates, Doc talked about us working well together. And I remember when I went on the Board of Education back in 2012, the Republicans had control of the commissioner board. And it was a really rough 2 years. We tried to get the new school going. They wouldn't even have a conversation with us. They wouldn't even sit down and talk to us about it. But the need was there. We had hundreds of students in mobile units, so we needed a new school. It was very obvious, but they wouldn't even have the conversation. So they're completely correct when they say that you really need to have strong collaboration between all levels of local government, because it really takes that collaboration to make good things happen in your community. And we've seen that since the Democrats taking over the commissioners in 2014, because as soon as they took over, it was like a whole different world, whole different change, and we started working together, and we saw what has happened since then. Good things have happened. So please spread the word going into this fall that we need to keep Democrats in control of our local government, our Board of Education, our Board of Commissioners, and our city government, mayor, because we need that collaboration going forward. We want to go forward and not backward. And the last thing we need is for them to get control of any of those elements of our government, because then it's going to put us backwards again. So I just wanted to say my little 2 cents on that. All right, we've got the Clerk of Superior Court, Susie Thomas, back there. Would you like to say anything, Susie?
I don't want to take up everybody else's time, but I appreciate your vote, and I appreciate you letting me serve the citizens of Lee County.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the North Carolina House for 51st District. We have Miss Lisa Mathis.
Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Thank you for what you said about
maintain control, we need a little bit of that control in the State House as well. I'm really excited to be here tonight. The outpouring has been fantastic of support. We've got so many great candidates up here. It's wonderful to be a part of all of this. Some of you in here know me, so I'd like to tell a few of you that don't know me a little bit about me. I'm a military kid, grew up all over the place. It taught me to be very adaptable. It also taught me to not be shy. Believe it or not, I was shy at one point. My parents have got, wonderful, hardworking parents. My father is from a little area you might have heard of last week called Washington County, Pennsylvania. We're pretty excited about what they brought to the table last week. My husband and I met in college. I went to William & Mary. Shortly after marrying, we moved down here to North Carolina, and we've been here ever since. We chose to live in a small town. We thought it would be a great way to make a larger impact on a community. I had no idea this is what was going to turn out to be, but here we are. We are the proud parents of two wonderful kids. We have a daughter in high school and a son that's in college. I, too, am a small business owner, and I've had the privilege of watching Sanford become revitalized from the windows of my studio, and it's been great to be a part of that revitalization downtown. I believe in the power of creative ideas, and that's what we need in the State House. I am running for this House seat because I am deeply disappointed in our current General Assembly. I'm tired of the toxic division. I'm tired of the cruelty. I'm tired of the disrespect. It's vindictive, and it's got to stop. We deserve legislators that work together. The best policies we know happen when groups come together and listen to each other. We deserve smarter solutions. Our General Assembly does not fairly represent North Carolina. We are a purple state. The General Assembly is deeply red, and it's time for the blue voices to be heard. We as Democrats are an empathetic tribe of people. We care deeply about people. It shows in our focus on healthcare, on the environment, on jobs, on education. This is what matters to all of us. This is what brings us all together. We also are, like I said, we're an empathetic group of people, and I think empathy is a strength, not a weakness. Never underestimate, absolutely, I agree with that. Never underestimate how protective mama bears can be. Compassion and deep motivation are compassion and deep frustration are extremely motivating. And I believe that is what's driving this energetic momentum that's right here in this room, and that we all know now is we're calling it the blue wave, right? But remember, just because we have the best beaches in town, you got to get off those beaches. We are not waiting for this wave. It is time to start paddling. Please join me in this campaign. Give generously of your time, of your talents, and of your treasure. We are one of the most flippable seats. This right here, we are at the epicenter. We have the power to help our entire state. North Carolina is counting on us. So I need to see every one of you out there swim with me, okay? And when I come asking for money, it's not for me, it's for us. It's for all these people in this town that have no voice, okay? Let's dive in. Thank you, Lisa. We have our 12th district for our North Carolina Senate seat, and that is Harold Baldwin. Howard.
Do we have anybody here from Harnett County? So I've been really encouraged so far from what I hear about you guys, because Harnett County, we have a five-member board of commissioners, only one is a Democrat. We have a five-member school board, and only one's a Democrat. Democrat, and we cannot make the same claims that I've heard tonight. It's very encouraging to hear that, you guys here in Lee County. So thank you. So I want to thank you for inviting me. It's really nice to be out here. I'm running for State Senate District 12. Encompasses Harnett County, Lee County, and then parts of Johnston County. A little bit about my background is mostly military. I enlisted in the Air Force shortly after high school and did about 5 years. I got out, got my bachelor's degree, and then I came back in as an officer and retired in 2011 as a major in the Air Force. So most of it was in military intelligence, and I did 4 deployments, 2 in Afghanistan right after 9/11, and then 2 in Iraq when I moved here in 2005 with the 18th Airborne Corps. I was in a joint exchange program with the Army at that time, and I decided to settle here in 2005. I did do one assignment with the Air Force Officer Training School. And at Officer Training School, we taught leadership, team building, problem solving, and the Air Force core values. And the Air Force core values are integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all you do. Now, all the services, we have their version of the core values, and we have our inter-service rivalries, and we put each other down and playfully put each other down. But when it comes to accomplishing the mission, we're able to come together, put our differences aside, and work together. And it's primarily because of those core values. I read a confidence poll, and they said in Congress, confidence in Congress is like 12%, but in the military it's as high as 70%. And so it's those kind of core values that I want to bring to our state legislature. Like Lisa says, very one-sided, very partisan, and so Democrats, we also have core values. Like Lisa said, we do care about everybody. She said we're a purple state. You know, we're 1/3, greater than 1/3 Democrat, then unaffiliated, and then 1/3 Republican. But it hasn't really been reflected like that at the state legislature. We care about the environment. We care about the world we live in, the environment. And we also care about a fair and level playing field. And again, like Lisa said, it's the same thing. I want to bring the dignity and the respect of public service back to it. There's a lot of name calling, a lot of divisiveness. And I'd just like to bring that team building and that collaboration back to solve the problems and move North Carolina forward in a positive direction. Now, while you guys have done very well here in Lee County, it sounds like, you know, on the economic front, I've been reading over the last 10 years since I've been here. We've lost Toyota Mazda to Alabama last year. In 2015, I guess we lost Mercedes-Benz to South Carolina. We lost Volvo to South Carolina. And then I guess I read 630 million opportunity in because of that bathroom bill issue. So, you know, a lot of lost opportunity in job growth. And I see my time is up, so, you know, I've got things on education, healthcare, just like everybody else. I think we're all on the same page. And so I just really look forward to working with all of you collaboratively, and let's get Democrats in office so we can move North Carolina forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Baldwin. Talk about collaboration does go to the General Assembly. I could spend a whole half hour complaining about them, but we definitely need to make some changes in Raleigh big time, getting some more blue up there, not so much red. So thank you for coming. Let's go ahead and move on to our U.S. House. We've got 2 candidates here tonight. Let's start with Mr. Ryan Watts. They're both for the 6th District, by the way.
Good evening. It is awesome to see some familiar faces here in Lee County. Always enjoy coming here to Sanford. I recognize a lot of y'all's faces, so I'm not going to go through my normal spiel, but I will say that I'm a born and bred North Carolinian and a proud graduate of public schools and universities here in the state. But I want to tell you a story. I'm going to go off script a little bit. My team might kill me. But we kicked up our canvassing efforts in Chatham and Guilford County this past weekend. And we knocked on 1,000 doors, and I helped knock on 100. But one door stood out. It was the only door where someone came out to me before I had got to the door. And it was a single mother. And she said, "What's your name? What are you about?" And I got started in my couple sentences, and she stopped, turned around in the middle of my sentence, and walked inside. And I was like, oh, uh-oh, guess I might have said something wrong. She comes back outside with 4 children, and she says there used to be 5. Her oldest son got shot in a drive-by. She then told me that 2 years ago she had cancer, and fortunately the company that she worked for provided her health care, but what if it hadn't? And then she told me that she works 80 hours a week, making minimum wage in both of those jobs, and can barely afford to pay her rent and put food on the table. Now, this woman is doing everything right. She's doing every single thing that people tell her to do. And yet, Republicans out there will tell her to pull herself up by her bootstraps. What if you can't afford the boots? That's why I'm running. I'm running because I'm so concerned about the future of this country. I'm 28 years old. I'm the youngest congressional candidate in the United States. And I stood up to run because I know we can do better. And I know we can do better than Mark Walker.
That's right.
You know, for too long, Washington and Raleigh and many counties across this state have been fighting for the few and not the many. It's why currently Mark Walker is sitting up in Washington saying, I can't afford to pay or fund health care, education, Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid, but I can support a funding bill that doubles military spending. I can vote for a tax reform bill that blew $1.5 trillion hole in our budget and gave 80% of benefits to the top 1%. That is not what Democrats are for, and that's not what most of America is for. Most of America is for the many and not the privileged few. So I'm going to wrap up. I have no idea how much time I've used, but apparently I've used it all. So here's what I'll say. There is only one election in the primary here in May in Lee County, and it's for this race. I ask you all to show up and vote, despite the fact there's only one race in that primary. I ask you to support me, our campaign, and all of the momentum that we have, because we have a real shot in this race against Mark Walker. We have a real shot because it's one of the 4 most competitive congressional districts in the state of North Carolina, and because Connor Lamb in Pennsylvania 18 proved that a millennial can make a difference, and I ask you for the opportunity to make a difference for you too. My name is Brian Block. Please go and vote for Congress.
You brought up the Lamb in Pennsylvania, and she brought up Washington, Pennsylvania. It's actually my hometown. That's where I grew up. And so it used to be very Democrat when I was a child, so I don't know what happened. Why it went red, I don't know, but I'm glad that they're coming back around. So we have another 6th district candidate, Mr. Gerald Wong.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me here tonight. I met a lot of you folks downstairs. You know, my father always told me, you know, don't use a paragraph when a sentence will suffice. And my opponent over here, he alluded to about a young child that probably couldn't get shoes. I was that child. I grew up in Washington, Oregon State, and I was picking apples, beets, cherries, and there was a time my parents couldn't afford shoes for me. So I went out there and I picked these things in my bare feet. So I am that guy that lifted himself up by his bootstraps. I got in trouble with the law as a juvenile. I got put in a juvenile detention facility. I got diagnosed. And I care for a lot of things. And I wish there was a way I could show you. You could go to my website and really check me out. See that? But right now, I'm just going to stick to this because I don't want to run real long. Okay? It's been an amazing wake-up call for me to run for the United States Congress. It never occurred to me that a boy, a son of an immigrant, picking apples, cherries, canning fish in Alaska, alongside immigrant workers, that could rise to the point where he thought he could be a United States congressman. After serving my country in the United States Army during the Vietnam War, I became an over-the-road trucker. And now with my wife Susan, who is a lifelong North Carolinian, we own our own trucking business here. Should I be elected to represent you, you have the right to know that what you are getting. And first, you will never hear me lie to you. I will not lie. I will never embellish my accomplishments or my failures. I will tell you exactly who I am, where I am, how I failed, and how I've succeeded. My very first legislation hurdle will be to co-sponsor Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All. When insurance companies have come to the point they decide who lives and who dies based on their ability to pay, I think that is time for a change. And we can all do this with universal healthcare system that takes insurance companies out of the mix. Just think about that. No premiums, no deductibles, no co-pays, and it would replace Medicare, Medicaid, CHIP. It would cover vision, dental, treatment of substance abuse. The elderly person would not feel all alone because they could not afford the end-of-life health care. Also, we have a lot of young people that could have a chance at the education they want. Free public college and universities. Tomorrow's leaders will be training to take America far into the future of what we can envision right now. We have to give them that opportunity. We progressives, let me finish, he did. You're not showing sides, are you? Now see, you asked me out. Okay, anyway, with this $1 trillion raise in the limit, I can hear the Lion of the Senate, Tenny Kennedy, and he said it best and with such passion. How much more do we want from these working men and women? Where does the greed end? And with that, ladies and gentlemen, if you remember nothing about me tonight, just remember this. I am a Roosevelt Democrat, and I am a Bernie Sanders progressive. And I want to thank you for listening to me tonight. Thank you.
All right, I want to pick on, did John leave? He did. He had to leave. Okay. We do have the convention coming up this weekend. Jan, would you like to say something about that? Quick announcement on it.
Same location. Saturday, doors are going to open at 9:30. We'll have a spread downstairs, just like tonight. And we'll start at 10. And bring a friend, if they're a Democrat. Bring your spouse, your children. We need to pack this room because it's going to kind of kick off our season officially.
Okay, we have a little bit of time. It's only about 35 after 7. Let's give it 20 minutes of question and answering time. If you have to leave, feel free to leave, but make sure you grab some food. We got lots of food downstairs. But let's go ahead and give it 20 minutes. And what I ask is, if you have a question for the candidates, please stand up. Announce who your question is to, and what the question is. And candidates, if you could come up here and then answer the question. So, any question and answers? Questions for candidates? Stand up, please.
For the school board candidates, can I get your views on the guns in the school and the safety of the school?
Whoever wants to go first.
Thank you for that question. I am not a fan of putting more guns in schools. Each time we talk at our school, I know we have a conversation that safety is number one, and then education of our children is up there, either right beside it or equal with it. I think it's very important that we have resource officers at every school. I think we need to make sure that all of our resource officers are trained to be able to handle situations. I feel fairly confident that in the Lee County schools they have optimal training to how to handle situations. I think that there are some steps to be taken. For example, in the school I currently teach, we have a secondary, I don't call it a barrier, but a secondary wall that people have to go through once they punch that button to get in, that they have to go through and actually see someone before they can run the schools. I think that would be a great change and a very minimal cost to make sure those schools that don't have those in their schools now can be put in there. In fact, I talked with somebody a while back. I would love for anybody to come to the school I teach at in Moore County, and I would show you exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm certainly against arming teachers. I think our resource officers, and more than anything else, thank you, more than anything else, and I think we brought this up, I think we're having a problem with we've got to get our kids to believe in themselves. And we've got to teach them that, yes, the academics are important. We've got to make sure, and I've stated this several times, that they're equipped to deal with the challenges in life today. And I know there's counselors, I know there's programs out there, but we really have to take a look and see what's working and what we can improve on. So I could talk about a lot more. I'd love for Ophelia to see what she has to say, but I am against arming anymore. I will say one more thing. I think Lee County has it. Lee County High School has it. There's some other, maybe a couple other schools that have it. But I think we could look at maybe having one more, some sort of gate or fence that would deter a little bit more. I'm a firm believer that if somebody wants to harm somebody in school, they're going to be able to get in. So I think we have to take the stance of let's find out what's happening, get that under control, and then take some minor safety measures. Thank you.
Great question. Again, I'm also not for guns in the schools for teachers to have, because even having the security, we have 3D printers now. 3D printers you can make a gun, a plastic gun with a 3D printer. So having metal detectors is just one means of being a deterrent. More gates, also more SRO people in the school, officers in the schools, to be that point when someone enters in, that they can see that security officer. Also having more security cameras. If we have a perimeter protection is very important to where we can monitor and see what's going on outside of the school. So therefore, by the time they get to the school, someone can get to the door, they're already prepared because they're monitoring to see what's going on around the school. So that's what I would suggest instead of having more guns, because if you give teachers guns, well, you can always get someone to overpower that particular teacher, and then the teacher is at fault if something happens. They'll be ready to sue the school system. So we need to challenge that. Plus, if we have guns, the teachers have the guns, then we have to have the money to make sure that they're certified and have the proper training. So what we have started to discuss this as a school board, and we have asked or requested for more SROs to be placed within the school system. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for our candidates? Any candidates, any questions? Please.
I have a question for Brian. I noticed on your website you had listed that you're more for your constituents than you are versus Democrat, Republican. I was wondering if you could speak on that a little bit.
So a consistent theme that I heard from over here is teamwork, is collaboration. My work experience my biggest strength is building teams and building coalitions. And too often we are taking a partisan path in this country, and it's what's holding back us getting things done. There is this model in Washington that is best described as zero-sum game politics. If Republicans want to say, here's a little sliver of good, but we want this big chunk, that's what zero-sum game politics looks like. Now, this district is a third Republican, a third Democrat, and a third unaffiliated. there are a lot of upset Republicans who are looking for something different, who are looking for someone who's going to do the right thing for the many and not just the few, but who is also going to consider that equality is not like pie. Equality among gender and socioeconomic class and race is not about if you give someone more equality, that means someone else is going to have less. I grew up in a politically diverse family, and so I know, and my dad do like this at the dinner table. He's a Republican and he's a card-carrying member of the NRA, and I get after him when we talk about guns in schools, and I've actually managed to make some progress with him. I think that when Democrats tend to run away from the fight, and you saw that in the tax reform bill, because as soon as the polling numbers showed that 50% of America liked the tax cut, Democrats said, what else can we run on in 2018? But that was wrong. And I think that if we run towards those things that Republicans are trying to win on, we can win. And we can show the many, not just the few, that Democrats have the right ideas. Democrats are doing the right things for the many. And so I don't want to make it all about partisanship, because that's how we got here. What I want is for people to say, hey, it doesn't matter if there's a D or an R or whatever beside your name, if you're going to do the right thing for people, you can vote for them. And that's why that's on there.
Gerald.
This question is from Mr. Wong. Ryan has been down here many times and we've had discussions, so this question is for you. Is it the typical Bernie answer to solve universal health care and the tuition? Or if we do all that, where are you going to pay for it from?
It's a good question. And a lot of people don't understand that over the last 35 plus years, our tax system has been corrupted. We are giving the wealthy and the corporations more and more money, and that is taken more and more out. Every time we give them more money, the working class has to pay more, because that federal money does not come back to the states. And when that federal money does not come back to the states, we have to pay more in local taxes and fees. But for some reason, people do not grasp this. But if we were to go back and rework this tax system and make sure that the corporations and the wealthy people are paying their fair share of taxes, we would have enough in our coffers. We could get rid of the FICA limit. And that would secure Social Security through eternity. Right there. Okay? A lot of today's candidates don't understand how we got where we are today. How we got where we are today is by having moderate Republicans come in and compromise with hard-nosed Republicans. And right now, we have a chance. We have a big chance, a very good chance, to take back the Senate and take back the Congress. There is a difference between local politics and national politics. We have the Tea Party. We have the Bannon wing over there in Washington, D.C. These aren't people you deal with like the person across the aisle here in Raleigh. These people are set and hardened. They're paid for by billionaires like Stanley Druckenmiller, who had the Fix Our Debt coalition. You guys remember that? They wanted to do away with Social Security, with Medicare, with Medicaid. And they sent out people, young people, to advocate for that. Now, I don't have a problem with that. That takes money. That takes more money. They wanted to take that out. And this Druckenmiller guy thought that the best thing we could do to save our country was to take away Social Security from the elderly people. Now, if we get the Senate back, the Congress back, we can change the tax code again. We can make sure that the corporations and the wealthy people start paying their fair share, start putting more money in the Treasury to take care of our elderly, to take care of the FEMA system. We could sock so much money into the FEMA system, we never have to worry about arguing whether or not we can help Puerto Rico. or the West Coast in their fires right now. Okay. We wouldn't have to worry about that. The money is not being taxed right, and it's not being allocated right. And I'm sorry if I look like I'm preaching. I'm very passionate about this, okay? We can fix this, but we need passionate, progressive Democrats in there to do it that aren't going to capitulate or compromise. Thank you.
Any other questions for our candidates? No? Now's your chance. Now's your chance. Any other questions? Bob?
Mr. Wong, what is your campaign structure that you've already established, and have you done any fundraising at this point?
No, I did do some at the very beginning. Then I realized that there were two, at that time there were two other Democratic candidates running for the same seat. And I decided at that point it wouldn't be fair to me to take your money to fight against the Democrats. So at that point I decided to run my primary on my own money. And I will continue to do that until May 8th when the election's over. If I do win, or like one guy says, when you do win out here. The Scottish guy, he wasn't Scottish, but he says, when you do win, you'll have to take money. And I agree with him, I will. It's going to take a lot of money to defeat Mark Walker. But right now, I'm running on a shoestring. And my advertising shows it. So thank you.
Can we ask that same question to Brian?
Sure.
So many of you have gotten phone calls from me, so you know we're raising money, and I am not in the business of tearing other Democrats down. I am in the business of running a positive campaign, and that's exactly what we've been doing. I am raising money very actively, and you can see where that money comes from. There are no corporate or special interests or anything like that we're taking money from. It is a purely people-funded campaign, and some of you have been very helpful for that, and I really appreciate it. It takes a lot of money to run in an 8-county-wide district. It takes a lot of time. I've been running for 8 months. I'm very fortunate to have a great staff, 300 volunteers, and momentum that continues to build. And it's going to take even more than that. It's going to take a lot, because Mark Walker is funded by the NRA. Because Mark Walker is funded by all of these special interests. 95% of Mark Walker's money comes from corporate special interests and PACs. Not one dime of that is in my pockets, and it never will be. And I agree with something else that Lisa said that I think is really important. This money's not for me. I'm the biggest investor in my own campaign. I wish I had more that I could put into it because I'm committed to it. I've put what I have, and I respect people who can, offer themselves $100,000. I just don't have that much money. But I'm the biggest investor in my campaign because I know that what we're talking about and what we're doing is the right thing to do. And I know that we can fire people up. People are fired up and ready to go for every one of these folks. And it takes a big team, and it's going to take a coalition builder, and that's exactly what we've done, and that's exactly what we're going to continue to do. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Well, if not, I just want to say thank you very much for coming out tonight, but let's give all our candidates a round of applause. And I do want to say before you leave, just remember how important this year is. Please spread the word, and please support our Democratic candidates all through the ballot on all different offices. Please support them all. Let's make sure we turn everything as blue as we can. Have a good night. Thank you.